New today, a judge granted bond for the Aurora dentist accused of poisoning and killing his wife. The price, $10 million, cash only.
And that cash only stipulation means that James Craig cannot go to a bondsman for help. He's accused of murdering his wife, Angela, back in March. The arrest affidavit says Craig used potassium cyanide, which he had shipped to his dentist office in Aurora. Now, if Craig cannot come up with the $10 million cash, he will remain in jail. But should he bond out, he would still be monitored by GPS tracking, couldn't leave the state, and would have to surrender his passport. The bond was forced by Colorado Supreme Court's decision last week, which instructed judges to grant bond for every person accused of first-degree murder. The Aurora DA says that setting the bond terms is proving to be a challenge.
We're all in a bit of uncharted territory right now. We're trying to establish bonds that ensure people facing that maximum, most serious penalty under the law actually show up for these proceedings.
Now, before last week's ruling, people accused of first-degree murder could be denied bond. That's because state lawmakers repealed the death penalty in 2020. The state Supreme Court thus ruled that first-degree murder is bail eligible. Craig is expected back in court for a preliminary hearing on July 12th.
A Mountain police chief has asked for an investigation into a Suburban police department after an officer she hired was indicted for sexual assault in his former job. We learned that today in a new affidavit detailing charges against Officer Nathan Gertis, who is already indicted on charges of unlawful sexual conduct. He's accused of groping and sexually assaulting a female officer at an Edgewater City Christmas party back in 2019. An affidavit says Gertis resigned from his job at Edgewater PD before he could face discipline for the sexual assault allegations. Then it accuses him of lying about that internal affairs investigation into the assault when he applied for a new job at other police departments. The chief of the department that ultimately hired him, Black Hawk PD, asked the 1st Judicial District DA to investigate Edgewater's PD handling of that sexual assault case. Steve Steger will have much more on this case coming up at 5.
The EPA is shelling out $1 million to the Denver Housing Authority, and that money will be used to help clean up contamination like asbestos on an old industrial property. And 9 News reporter Jaleesa Irizarry shares more about the site that's expected to become home for hundreds of families with promises of transforming a part of the city.
A lot along Bryant Street may look empty to some, but it's filled with dangers we can't see.
Yes, that's correct.
Stacy Erickson works for the Environmental Protection Agency. The group handed $1 million grant over to the Denver Housing Authority as they turn this former industrial lot in the Sun Valley neighborhood into something more.
It needs some additional cleanup in order to make it safe for residents and the public.
The Zunai tank farm was torn down back in March to make room for new affordable housing units and a riverfront park. According to the EPA, the tanks held diesel fuel that were part of the backup generation for the old Zunai power plant. The EPA says the area was cleaned up to a certain extent.
The site has some residual contamination left, including some asbestos. And those are things that you don't want children in a park or something playing, putting things in their mouth, those sorts of things.
Children are guaranteed to be nearby. While the elementary school in the neighborhood closes, more families are moving in. Denver Housing Authority just welcomed more than 260 families with their latest apartments built, one just across the street from the tank site. Erickson says those families shouldn't have to worry about exposure as they clean up the contaminated site.
The site is fenced off. Also, when they do the cleanup, they'll be, doing dust suppression techniques and things to make sure that anything that may be left there doesn't become airborne.
Erickson admits this neighborhood has been impacted by a lot more contaminants than what they usually see. The first step in fixing that is moving out what shouldn't be there,
so that they get to live in a great neighborhood that's clean and that's safe.
Erickson says the cleanup is mostly soil related. They'll come in and haul the bad soil away and do additional testing before they start any construction on the property. She says the Denver Housing Authority is already starting some of the cleanup, but should have the grant by August or September. Tom?
You mentioned it in the piece that this is an area that's already had some tough times.
Yeah, it definitely has. You know, we covered a lot about the Fairview Elementary School closing and what that did for a lot of families there, but all the transition, right? All the construction projects going on and families having to leave, new families coming in, some former families coming back as well. But they have gone through a lot environmentally as well. Erickson had mentioned that not only are they dealing with the stuff that was inside that tank, they're right by a highway, right? A lot of air pollution there. So she says hopefully having a park nearby will help that as well.
Yeah, it'll be something to keep following. I know you will. Thanks, Jaleesa. Well, outside today, we got up around 90 again, a lot of blue sky as well. But Kathy's with us now talking about what we did see today and what might be coming our way.
It's been a great break, you guys, from the severe thunderstorms, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And today was another beautiful summer day, Tom, as you mentioned. But if you stepped outside at all today, you may have felt the moisture. Did you feel it in the air today?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, but all I'm doing is sitting with the lady who was at Red Rocks last week.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to hear all about that.
Anything's better than that experience.
Oh my gosh.
To be fair, I didn't get hit with hail. I just met dozens of people who got hit with hail.
You went out to cover the story, and I just remember watching you thinking, oh, my goodness, this is miserable for all those people. And Jennifer.
Yeah, I survived. I'll be fine.
And they're not going to reschedule that concert, right?
No, Louis Tomlinson and Red Rocks can't figure that out. So those people, well, we'll get refunded and hopefully something for the bruises.
People wanted that concert, so
of course,
disappointing all the way around. Well, nothing like that coming, thankfully. But if you did step outside today this morning, it was a little bit cloudy. Humidity values are up. These are all ingredients for thunderstorms. So we're going to be tracking a few across northeastern Colorado tonight, just because the ingredients are in place for that to happen. It needs to get warm enough for that to happen, and so far we have not really gotten beyond the low to mid 80s in downtown Denver. But you can see that moisture out there. 82 in Denver, 97 in Pueblo, 91 in Grand Junction. Needed to be a little warmer to do what we call breaking the cap, which would give us a little bit of thunderstorm activity. So watching the winds coming in out of the east and northeast. Humidity values, this is interesting. Look how low they are in southeastern Colorado, but notice Denver, Greeley, Sterling, Ray. There's moisture out there. With heating of the day, a thunderstorm is possible. Also concerns for high fire danger across the western slope. Of course, we're tracking the fire in and around the Parachute area. Winds are gusty. It's very dry and very warm in that area. Severe thunderstorm watch outside the Colorado border for now. Cheyenne points northward, hail producing thunderstorms. Couple of storms popping up in southeastern Colorado, non-severe, but we just want to keep an eye right on that Denver and I-76 corridor over the next 2 hours. Kind of watch for any development. Storm Prediction Center has Wyoming and Nebraska in the outlook area. Slight risk for wind and hail. Denver, of course, not included, but some of the models picking up on the potential for a storm or two as we move through the overnight period. Better chance for storms tomorrow. Temperatures in the mid 80s now, dropping into the 70s after sunset. Coming up, we'll check the radar again, look ahead to the holiday weekend forecast, and thunderstorms are back in the forecast both Thursday and Friday. We'll break down the timing coming up.
Thank you, Kathy. Starting tomorrow, deputies in Douglas County will start going around to formally calculate the damage from last week's tornadoes. We saw it all on people's Ring cameras. Now they're going to get a real tally. After the storm, of course, ripped up trees, tore up homes along an estimated 6-mile stretch through Highlands Ranch. The sheriff's office has to do an official damage assessment to get help from FEMA. So deputies will be going door to door trying to tally up all that damage from the storm.
We just heard Kathy talking about the forecast and the winds they've been seeing out in western Colorado. But there is some good news today regarding the Spring Creek fire, which is now 20% contained. But that fire has burned more than 2,800 acres southwest of Parachute, right near I-70. It did grow significantly on Monday due to the hot, dry conditions and those strong winds, burning more than 3,000 acres. Red flag warnings were in effect today for most of western and southwestern Colorado. But fire officials say no structures have been threatened by the fire at this point, and there are no evacuations in place.
Travel woes continued for United Airlines passengers out at DIA today. The airline is continuing to cancel and delay flights. United canceled 104 flights, delayed 245, all in and out of Denver just today. Those delayed flights made up 41% of all the company's scheduled flights. United told us these issues were not because of local staffing issues, rather severe weather in the Northeast over the weekend that kicked off a chain reaction of crews then being out of position. Nationwide, United canceled more than 500 flights and delayed almost 1,000 today.
Some sports for you now. The NHL draft is tonight, and the Avs have been very busy dealing away this week. Yesterday, they sent forward Alex Newhook to Montreal, primarily for draft picks. Well, today they cashed in one of those picks, the 37th overall tonight, sending it to Tampa Bay for that man, forward Ross Colton. In 3 NHL seasons, he's scored 47 goals for the Lightning. He's already garnered a lot of playoff experience with Tampa Bay. That includes the Stanley Cup winning goal 2 years ago. Colton certainly adds depth to the Avs up front. We'll see if the Avs make any more deals. As it stands, they have 2 picks late in the first round, numbers 27 and 31.
Some new numbers and something to celebrate today. Coloradans have been so generous during our 9 Cares Colorado Share Spring Drive. You helped us raise $259,000 plus. That's actually enough money to provide more than 779,000 meals to Coloradans in need. Thank you so much to everybody who's been helping our community.
One of the longtime icons of the Denver business community and the advertising world has passed away. After serving in the Army during the Korean War, Tom Hagan left Detroit, came to Colorado, and it was here in 1977 he started what is now Karsh Hagan, a company that became so influential in messaging for some of the largest companies in the region, as well as the state of Colorado itself. His daughter Kathy Hagan now runs the company. She says that her father always had time for everyone who called him. She also said that he maintained his sense of humor until the end. Tom Hagan was 92 years old.